Okay, so this is my second vlog entry that I've done, but actually I really think what's going to work for me is if I have a topic I want to talk about, I just talk about it, even if it's twice in a day, you know, put 3 of them up and kind of follow the Netflix model of just putting everything on, blah. You can watch what you want, pick your subject, whatever, if you're even interested. But what I really have been wanting to talk about lately is the concept of supplementation, because I am very big on supplementing my children's education. I do not trust that any one school is going to give my child or either of my children everything that they need when it comes to education, and them being very well-rounded individuals, which is really what I want for them. As I've said, we started out in, when they went into formal kind of school, they started out in a charter school, which was a language school. It was a dual language program, which was Spanish and English. I had one child there for 4 years. The other child was there for 5 school years. And even when they first started, I actually found other schools that would, or programs that taught Mandarin as well, because I just kind of figured if they had a Latin-based foreign language like Spanish, I figured that was, to me, the most practical language program for them to go into, just because there's, you know, it just comes in very useful. And a lot of careers, if you're bilingual, that just might give you kind of the extra edge over maybe somebody who might have just kind of an equal resume. So I figured that would be a good tool for them, just being able to communicate across the board. And then the other language that I thought would be great for them was Mandarin. I kind of looked at the two, Japanese and Chinese, to see which one, and just going by the trends that are happening in the world, I figured that Mandarin was just very practical as far as business is concerned, as far as all that's happening with U.S. and China relations, technology, that kind of thing. I just figured it would be good. And then if they wanted to learn another language, they would have, you know, a language that had the Latin base, because as I took French. Why? Just, I thought it was a beautiful language at the time. I took French through high school. Actually, I started in middle school. High school, I took some college French. But I really, you know, haven't had much opportunity to use it. Although, you know, every now and again, it's kind of, you know, anecdotal. Occasionally, I'll know a little something. It's almost like a trivia type of benefit. But I'm just figuring the way that, you know, the makeup of the U.S. is changing, that Spanish is excellent. So, you know, for them. And then as far as Chinese, I just figured it would be great as far as like international business, that kind of thing, technology, you know. And then if they wanted to learn Japanese, they would have kind of a foundation, kind of understanding a language that dealt more with symbols and that kind of thing. So basically, you know, we did the charter school, which was free. Of course, it's just like, you know, a public school. And one of the instructors told me something that I thought was pretty cool. Really? Oh God. Okay. Pencil sharpener. Can we just not sharpen? You have plenty pencils sharpen. Terrace, please stop.
Actually, they're in Torian's bag.
God.
What?
So anyway, as I was saying, you know, it's not like any of these videos will likely be interruption free, just because it's like a circus in here sometimes. They're doing Kumon right now, which kind of transitions into another supplementary program. I supplement their education as well. I think, as I said before, when I put them in the language school and in the language programs, I didn't want their English and other academics to suffer, because even in the language school, the first 2 years, 70% of their instruction was in Spanish. So math was taught in Spanish. Of course, English wasn't taught in Spanish. But you know, science was taught in Spanish half the time, or 70% of the time, depending on how they kind of went through the program. They start off 70-30 and then it goes to 50-50. So one of my friends who was big on education kind of suggested that I go get them tested. And when I say I found the best Kumon Center, I love our center director, Miss Vanessa. So shout out to Kumon of Fayetteville. It is one of literally the best in the whole country. So I do supplement with Kumon, and maybe I'll talk about that some more. But the other thing is that I was saying earlier is when they were in the language school, you know, something about charter schools, and I think people, you know, charter is such a big topic now. Oh, I want to try to get in the lottery and get my child into charter school because it'll be better. But really, lots of times the charters just have maybe a focus, like it might be an arts charter school or maybe a science charter school. Ours was a language charter school. But basically, it was the same as public school. It just had the language component. The curriculum was the same. It just had they're learning Spanish. So it was great because they are getting something that a great majority of the kids weren't. But still, it wasn't anything, I hate to say it, like special about the level of education they were getting. So in that, I wanted to supplement in other ways. And I think supplementation is extremely important, whether just to get a well-rounded child. So the Chinese was more challenging to find as far as programs on our side of town, on the south side of Atlanta. So we were doing a lot of driving up north, 40-minute drives, you know, on the weekends. But it was something that I wanted to introduce to them early because, you know, a child that can kind of turn that part of their brain on early in life, you know, it's beneficial for them because studies have shown, I hate that kind of thing, but, you know, they pick up on language easier when they're younger. So I just wanted that introduction. And a lot of what our educational structure, a lot of people don't know, and one of my girlfriends was sharing with me, a lot of what school does not focus on mastery. It just focuses on introducing a child to concepts, and then they move on. So your child may not get it. That's how you get kids that, you know, they know about math, but they're not good in math because schools don't necessarily focus on mastery. So by the time your child's kind of matriculated all the way through to maybe 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and they're like failing in math and they're bad in math, is because schools don't necessarily focus on mastery at an early level. They introduce the concepts and then they got to move on, you know. So that was part of why Kumon was a wonderful option for our family. Because it focuses on mastery. It's a Japanese learning system that focuses on rote memory. And a lot of people might say, well, you know, rote memory, you get a robot, you don't necessarily get a child that free thinking, and, you know, it encourages, you know, free thought. But math is facts, you know. And to me, if you can get those facts kind of straight, that you can just kind of spout them out, then you can move on from there in bigger concepts and conceptualization and moving on to more complex concepts. If you just know it, if you can spout it out, you know, and that's what Kumon focuses on, is mastery. It ain't cheap. That's, you know, one thing. It's not. Supplementing is not an inexpensive proposition, but for me, I'm just like, I make the sacrifices I need to make so that I can get them those specialized programs. I mean, don't drive a new car. My husband doesn't drive a new car. It's not something I desire, you know. My primary focus right now that I'm raising young children is making sure they have everything they need to have, because it'll be a bigger headache later if I don't. Like I said before, I don't want any boomerang kids. You're not going to live with me. You're not going to say I didn't equip you. You're not going to be able to say that, man, you didn't do all you could so that I could, you know, have these experiences or whatever. As far as having options in my own life, because I just don't know how to do this because school didn't equip me. I don't think you should leave the education of your children up to just one school. That's just my personal. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about supplementation as I'm maybe taking them to some, you know, things like Kumon and Chinese class and sports and extracurriculars and things like that, because I do think part of those extra activities, sports are excellent too for development in other ways for your kids. So that's all for this segment. Thanks so much. And like I said, any comments you want to make, as long as they're loving and respectful, I'm all good. Love to have a dialogue. And if you have any questions, you know, post, whether Facebook, YouTube, wherever I'm posting this. Blessings. Thanks so much. Bye.